So we're about maybe a couple hundred feet, horizontally under the city streets in the sewer. I want to show you where the trash comes from. This is the end of the dry season for Los Angeles. You can see it's building up with plastic trash. Next big rain, this big metal door is going to open up, and this cup is going out to the ocean. What is that? It's a Ziploc bag with a spider on it. Here's a little gum wrapper. I can see a red plastic bag in there. I mean, every storm drain in the city is going to look like this. So after a long dry season, that first big rainstorm is pushing it all out to the ocean via these storm drains. And I see all this stuff, and it doesn't need to be there, all this trash on the most remote parts of the world. For 6 years, I worked for Captain Charles Moore, the man that found the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Went on a couple expeditions with him, actually met my wife and got engaged to her on Charles Moore's boat. My wife, Anna Cummins, and I, we saw all this trash in the Pacific, and we knew the Atlantic has the same issue. The South Pacific, South Atlantic, Indian Ocean, there was no one studying other parts of the world. So we began the 5 Gyres Institute. When I did the junk raft expedition, when I took 15,000 plastic bottles and I floated an airplane across the Pacific, I remember in the middle of that trip on this funky homemade raft, I was starving, middle of freaking nowhere, and I find this fish, and out of its stomach pours 17 rice grain sized fragments of plastic in this fish's stomach. The plastic is full of persistent organic pollutants, things like PCBs, DDT, PAHs, things that are known human carcinogens and endocrine disruptors, things you don't want in your body, but they're in the fish that we eat. In the ocean, you've got international waters. You can't identify a country, and the plastic is so broken down you can't identify a product. Closer to shore, here in the Great Lakes, if we found plastic, it would be fresh. All right, 3, 2, 1. Bonsai! Bonsai! Here in Lake Michigan, we found these microbeads, little polyethylene and polypropylene, perfect little round spheres, 1/3 of a millimeter, like as big as a grain of sand. And we can match them to some of the microbeads found in facial scrubs. Those products that you put in your face and you scrub your skin, you wash it down the drain, well, those products use plastic as the exfoliant. We match those microbeads and products to the microbeads in the lakes. So we know that plastics absorb all kinds of pollutants. But what does that have to do with us and human health? So my wife and I were planning on having a child. We had her body burden analyzed.
So we just took about 60 cc's of my blood. We're now going to have it centrifuged to be sampled for PCBs, DDTs, and other chemicals.
And in her blood, we found PCBs. We found DDT and other pesticides. When we found the highest levels of flame retardants. And what really concerns us is that we know that they're in her body. And our child, the fetus that was growing in her body, as she grew up, she had this cocktail of synthetic chemistry swirling around her body as she was developing. And it really it angers us and saddens us that our little girl, born in the 21st century, is a walking, talking experiment of synthetic chemistry that was invented last century. And that's what we just hits us as deeply wrong, deeply immoral, that we allow that to continue to happen. And there's lots of junk in here. Mississippi River stuff. I'm gonna pick a box. I don't know whose face this is. That's the original, the young man from India, when I first made his cast. So the originals I keep in here. Oh yeah, here's a Japanese man, scientist, Dr. Shige Takada. He's well known for studying how plastic pellets absorb different toxins. So this man has a program called International Pellet Watch. And if you find little plastic pellets on your beach anywhere in the world, Hawaii or Timbuktu or Easter Island, you send those pellets to him and he'll tell you what kind of toxins are on those pellets. So when I went to Japan, Tokyo, he sat for me for an hour and I cast his face. And I asked the guy to smile, and that's his smile right there. You can see his painful smile. Yeah. So in this part of the river, I mean, I'm looking for plastics that sink. So Sylvia Earle, the first woman to walk on the ocean floor on one of those big, sort of clumsy, deep water seas. What she told us is that she has seen this massive increase in the amount of trash on the ocean floor. What wasn't there 50 years ago, in half a century, we've littered the entire planet. So PET, polyethylene terephthalate, is a kind of plastic that sinks. About half the plastic made in this country is negatively buoyant, and you'll find it littering the ocean floor, getting there via our rivers. So this is, a soda bottle, a 2-liter bottle. This would be perfect to use for Sylvia's mask.
I hope for your help to explore and protect the wild ocean in ways that will restore the health, and in so doing, secure hope for humankind. Health to the ocean means health for us.
Is that a shirt you really cherish?
No,
okay.
It's expendable. When I started to explore the ocean, there weren't any plastics. You think about it. Go back to 1950s. It's the pre-Plasticozoic era.
Did you know Sylvia Earle can hold her breath for hours?
Mm-hmm. I mean, there were a few plastics, a few knobs on dishpans and things like that, but now we're just drowning in it.
Oh, okay.
There we go.
Okay, you come forward a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
How's that feel?
Perfect.
That's your lipstick.
It does. Does it really? Oh my God.
Perfect.
Yes.
I'm curious if your lipstick is on it.
It is.
That's beautiful.
It's pre-cosmetic. And look, you see my tears.
We invented plastic to be durable, resistant to cold and heat. And we then make products that we throw away out of this amazing material. And that kind of mentality, with not thinking of a good recovery plan, has resulted in all these animals around the world. It's not just one bird. It's 663 species to date we have documented interacting with our trash.
I don't think with the microbeads that corporations necessarily thought about the impact that those microbeads would have. I don't think that they, went into it and said, oh, these are going to go in the water, who cares? It's not common right now in corporate culture to be doing life cycle assessments, but I think we need to change that and require that, and that becomes the norm, that we think about, well, if we're going to manufacture something, what does that mean down the line? And we really need to change what is currently a one-way path from extraction to disposal. That doesn't work in nature. Nature works on cycles. And so our society, if we're going to sustain ourselves, also has to start working on cycles.
I'll melt it down, see what happens. So that was a 2-liter bottle, or half of one. It goes to show, you know, that much bottle doesn't have that much weight. Waste pickers, recyclers, they'll pick up bottles because that has enough weight that's worth their effort to pick it up, bring it to another place, and then process it for recycling. Plastic bags, not at all. And if you took a whole plastic bag, melted it down, it might be less than 1/10 of this. When I talk to waste pickers, and actually this guy here, Minar from India, I mean, even he that lives in a homemade shack with his entire family, living off the money he gets from plastic bottles, he would not touch a plastic bag. I said, why don't you pick up plastic bags? And he said, well, you know, one plastic bag is dirty. One pinch of sand in a bag, and the bag now doubles its weight. And no buyer is going to buy dirty plastic bags from me because they'll think I'm trying to cheat them. And I can't risk that because they won't buy my bottles either. So no one touches plastic bags in India. Even the waste pickers of India will not pick up plastic bags. So he's a great example of how design matters. I would call this man not a waste picker, but a sanitation engineer. I mean, he could tell me more about design than I can. Designing for recovery. He knows what recovery means. The economics in his world matter. Now, I'm using PET flakes here because PET is the kind of plastic that sinks. Sylvia Earle tells a story of plastic waste that sinks on the ocean floor that she's watched build up over her lifetime. So meaning, I mean, it's integral to the piece. The subject and the material, they go hand in hand.